It's no secret that writing can be lonely work, but does it really have to be? Whether you're full-time, part-time, or just starting out, you'll get insights into the tricks, tips, and production habits of writers from every level of the biz. From best-selling authors to those launching their first novels, you're sure to be in the company of friends as we encourage great writers to divulge and share their secrets. This is the Great Writers Share podcast with your host, best-selling author, Daniel Wilcox.
Hello and welcome to the Great Writers Share podcast, episode 0. My name is Daniel Wilcox and every week I will be the host of the Great Writers Share podcast. And this episode is just a little intro, a little teaser from myself, just to let you know exactly what you can expect from this podcast, what I'm trying to achieve with it, how it will obviously benefit you, and any ways that you can get involved, and why it's worth your time to jump in and listen to me speaking. So to start with, let me tell you exactly what this podcast is all about. So just to give you a little bit of context, I am an author, a full-time author, and about a year or so ago, and time of recording, this is 2019, July, about a year or so ago was the last time I recorded the final episode of a show that I did with a co-writer and a very good friend of mine, Luke Condor, called The Story Studio. And we ran about 50 episodes of that. We interviewed different talent, we spoke a lot to different people, found out about a variety of different things in the entire writing world, from editing to book cover design to writing in film, in magazines, in sort of across all mediums. And I'll be honest, I kind of missed it. I missed meeting new people. I missed chatting to some of the people who I admire and some of the people who are friends of mine who I also admire. I can't say that's a mutually exclusive term. But I missed just talking to people and getting to know other authors. And at the time, I was far too busy. Luke was far too busy. We were both very, very busy people. But since I've recently become full-time, I figured let's jump back onto this podcast hype and just get chatting to some wonderful people. And that's what the show is going to be about. So essentially what I'm doing is every week I'm going to bring on different writing talent from a range of different genres, different mediums. We're going to be speaking for about an hour. I'm going to ask questions of them and get their input on things that will help anyone within the audience. It doesn't matter what stage of your writing journey you're on, whether you're thinking of getting into writing, whether you're already sort of established and you just want to refresh your memory or want to learn some new stuff, or you're just interested in who's coming on and talking. Just asking them questions, having a bit of an informal chat. Mild warning to some people, there is minor cussing, nothing too dangerous, but I do like to keep it fairly informal on the show, so just to prep you for that. So that's an overall overview of the podcast. And like I said, I briefly mentioned who I am. I am a full-time author, and I can give you a bit more context. So I have been writing since 2014. Officially, I went full-time in April of this year. I co-write with quite a few people. I'm one of the writers for Hawk and Cleaver. We've got several post-apocalyptic and horror fiction best-selling novels out under my name. And I'm one of the lead writers and creators of the Other Stories podcast alongside the other wonderful talent at Hawk and Cleaver. And the Other Stories podcast is a short fiction podcast that comes out every Monday and releases 20-minute horror fiction, sci-fi fiction into the world. And as of the time of recording, we're on 3.7 million downloads. So I like to think that we've got a bit of experience. The show's not going to be about me and what I know. It's going to be about other people and what they know and how that can benefit you. But it's always nice to know a little bit more about your host before you get started. How will the podcast run? So, as I mentioned, it'll be an hour long. Be interviewing various different people. For the majority of the show, there'll be sort of 45 minutes of standard chitter-chatter, some questions, some laughs. And the final 5-10 minutes or so, we'll do a quick fire round with 10 quick questions, which are absolutely random, have nothing to do with the interview at all, but they do make me laugh. And it's something to look forward to at the end. And also, as part of that, what I will be introducing once the show gets going on, so full disclosure, I've recorded the first 3 episodes. They're already done. I've got some awesome people coming on board. Luke Condor, who I've already mentioned, publishing giant Michael Anderle, and horror fiction bestseller Alex Seagates have already come onto the show. But as we catch up and get to do the different releases, what I will be doing is getting fan questions involved and getting people asking the questions that they want to know from specific people. So if someone that you know is coming on the show and you have a particular question, then you can always throw that in and we can ask that in the final section of the show. Which brings me nicely onto the final point of this introduction, which is I will be opening a Patreon. So by the time this airs, a Patreon page will be set up. For people who don't know, Patreon is an online subscription service, which sounds daunting, but essentially it allows artists to provide you with extra content for as little as $1 a month. So you can pledge $1 per month, and for that you can get some wonderful bonuses. And there are different tiers you can go down, so be sure to check out the site and look at the different levels of the tiers, how much you want to pledge. It's completely up to you. You obviously don't have to. This show will always be free. That's my plan. And this is just for anyone who wants to kind of get a bit more for bang for their buck while listening. So some of the bonuses, I will be doing early access to episodes. So for uber fans of the show, each episode will be uploaded at least 24 hours early onto the Patreon than it will be onto this live feed. There will be access to a private Slack group, which will be filled with all the other authors from this community from a certain tier level and up, as well as all of our wonderful writers at Hawk and Cleaver. So this is a Hawk and Cleaver podcast. Hawk and Cleaver is an independent publishing company, and we have a multitude of writers who are involved working with us, creating novels, creating podcasts, creating comics, magazines, people who have been published worldwide, people who have been award nominated. They'll jump into a Slack group with you where you can ask your questions, you can chat, it'll basically be your forum where you can ask us anything you want and you'll have constant access to us. I'll also be doing monthly giveaways, which will likely be themed around the different guests that I have on. So once a month I'll do a competition. I'm not sure what the prize is going to be yet, but keep a lookout for that because it should be fun. And as I mentioned, you'll be able to ask any of the upcoming guests your questions. So it'll basically be a priority group. Don't really want to say club. Club sounds a bit exclusive. It'll be a priority group in which you can basically, for as little as $1 a month, get involved and just get access to everything a lot quicker, a lot sooner. And I will be prioritizing any questions that come from the Patreon group to the guests. And that'll be a lot of fun. So I think that covers it for this intro. Like I say, I'm very excited to get this started. It's been a year since I've recorded, and I'm raring to go. Like I say, we've got some fantastic talent coming up. We've got more people currently in the talks to get on the show. And if you have any questions, just drop me a line or visit the Patreon, which I should give you the link, which will help, which will be patreon.com/Great Writers Share. So that's writers plural, and that's Patreon, patreon.com. And I guess that's it for now. So enjoy the rest of the interviews, and if you do like what you're listening to, don't forget to jump over to iTunes or whichever player you're listening to and give us a review. Thank you, and I'll see you on the other side.